First of all, congratulations on the film. I know getting a film made is never a perfect process, so when you get to the end of the road, it's always good. So, congrats on that. Let's talk a little bit about the script. I feel like as a director, reading the script would be almost like as a viewer the first time watching the film. We get to meet the characters. We don't know what twists are coming, what plots are coming. As you read the script, was it some of these twists and turns and some of these characters? Is that what originally drew you to the project, or were you involved even before you saw the script?
No, I wasn't. I was sent the script and I was told the title and the synopsis. And so I was very skeptical of the script. I did not think it was going to be for me. And exactly what you said, I was very surprised by where it went and what it did when it got there. And it just very rare to read a script where you genuinely don't feel like you know what's coming next, especially in this genre. So that was 100% the initial appeal, because as a viewer, you constantly craving something that surprises you. And I felt if you could capture the experience of reading it into the watching it, then you might have something that the audience could surprise the audience.
And you say that, but I think after watching it, you were probably the best person for the job because I was the same way when it came across my email. I'm like, oh, threesome. Okay, we know where this is going in this day and time, but the subtlety and the beauty in which you handled not only the beginning process of what brings us to the whole plot of the story and how subtly and well done that was, I never found it to be salacious or anything else, and what the title would allude to. I think you handled it perfectly. There's characters in here, I'm not going to give too much away, but certain characters you get frustrated with and you wonder about. There's not really a bad person, a good person. As a director and as you were reading this, do you ever get character bias where you're like, this character's frustrating me, but I've got to get her through this scene or get them through the scene without putting any of my own personal inflection of what they're saying or doing? Or is it like children where they're all your kids and you love them all the same?
Eventually, it's definitely like that, and the goal is to try and make it so that the final film feels non-judgmental from the filmmaker, and then you're allowed to judge however you want what the characters are doing. But hopefully, you haven't been guided by me into feeling a certain way about all of them. And that's something that I learned early on in my career, which is that the more non-judgmental I can be of the characters, I think the wider the audience usually can get, because everyone can kind of find themselves somewhere in there. So yeah, when I was reading it, I was definitely frustrated by some people, but the key was even in the first read, it wasn't the same person the whole script, and sometimes it would be this character and other times it would be that character. And that felt like the on the right track. And if you can come up with a movie where an audience member's allegiance isn't wholly aligned all the way through, then you're probably doing something right with, the way that the story is unfolding as well.
Right. And there's a lot of moments in this. There's some comedy to it. There is obviously some emotional drama and some decision making that the characters have to go through. I liked that balance as well. How important in a film like this are the quiet moments compared to the emotional moments where we just watch a character move through something? How important are those and how do you handle those scenes?
I mean, I love those, and am surprised I got away with some of them on this one, because typically, the bigger the movies get, the more you're pressured into having set pieces and like big things, and like as early as possible there needs to be a big set piece so that people get comfortable. And this movie really doesn't traffic in any of those. It kind of like sets up stereotypical hijink situations, like, oh, she lied about him being her boyfriend, or like they both have the same OBGYN. And it teases at that, but then and follows through, but it follows through still kind of on a grounded way, in a realistic way. And that is something that I really appreciate and love, but find to be rare and pushed back against in Hollywood a lot. So I feel very grateful that there was nobody on this one pushing back on quieter moments or letting things play out in a more realistic way than just amping it up for the sake of like, well, it's the third act now, let's amp it up, amp it up, amp it up.
Right, right. And it's funny, I had a conversation with a family member. We were talking about movies we watched from the 70s compared to today and how that's almost lost, that
Mhm.
ability to just sit in a moment and to not just have to jump and jump. I want to preface this next question with the fact that I think it works for everybody, and I think everybody should see this. But would you direct it differently if you were told only 30 somethings are going to watch this compared to if they said only 50 or 60-year-olds are going to watch this? Would it change how you direct it? Because I think it fits everybody. Me in my 50s, and I'm recommending this to my 25-year-old daughter to watch. So I think it hits everybody. But would you direct it different?
Good question. I did, as part of my pitch, I did say it should be a movie that parents and young people can watch as long as they're not watching it together. Uh, and so I always was thinking of it as something that could work for multiple generations. I don't know. I mean, so I definitely leaned into a old-fashioned approach to the filmmaking, and like the score was inspired by Henry Mancini and is meant to feel kind of old-fashioned. If you told me only 30-year-olds were going to watch it, that might make me think twice about that choice. But at the same time, I'd be like, I'm going to make these 30-year-olds listen to some Henry Mancini inspired score because it's good for them. Um, so I'm not sure I would do anything differently.
Yeah, and I don't think you really should. That was I was just wondering as a director standpoint because I do think that it will hit everybody differently, but everybody will take something from it. And speaking of that, what do you hope that they walk away with feeling in this movie and remember about it, regardless of the age?
Well, I mean, I remember very distinctly in the editing process of my previous film, Little Fish, which was very sad and heavy, like after a long day of editing, going to see Booksmart and just having such a great time. I was by myself, but I had a great time, and I left feeling so good that I was like, well, I should be making movies that make you feel good when you come out of the theater. And so kind of knew that the next thing I wanted to do was going to be chasing that feeling. And then when the pandemic happened and I rewatched movies that only made me feel comforted and were characters that I just wanted to revisit and hang out with again, that became the feeling I really wanted to chase with this. Is that if this could be somebody's comfort movie 10 years from now when they're having a tough time, it's the one they think of to throw on because they remember they loved the characters and the way it made them feel. That's kind of the dream.
Yeah, and I think it hits all of those notes regardless of when you watch it. So again, congratulations on it. I appreciate your time today, and best of luck on the film.
Thank you very much.